breaking down punk rock, rock and roll, music, ska, whatever it may be, one letter at a time. And today we're diving into a great album that I love a lot, and I think most other people love a lot as well. Might be a little unorthodox in the world of what you think legendary albums may be. But today, B is for Blood, Hair, and Eyeballs by Alkaline Trio. You're listening to P is for Punk. All right, here we go. Let's look into it a little bit. Alkaline Trio from Chicago, Illinois. One of my all-time favorite bands. A band that has been consistent for a very, very long time. I absolutely love them. The band I've seen the most live in my life. Across various states, different points in my life, different points in Alkaline Trio's musical career. They're amazing. Their last album, Blood, Hair, and Eyeballs, is the topic of talk today. But before we get into that, let's give a little bit of a history of Alkaline Trio for those of you that may not know. Formed back in 1996, Matt Skiba, a dude named Rob, and Glenn Porter formed the band a little bit. And Rob Doran left, and then Dan Andriano, formerly of Slapstick, Tuesday, all that good stuff, joined the band as well. And those are really your two staples of the band. They've had various drummers, including Mike Fulemley. I think that's how you say it. He's the dude that plays in like the Smoking Popes. And of course, Derek Grant. He had the most longevity in the band as well. But this album, Blood, Hair, and Eyeballs, is late in their career. Their 9th studio album was Is This Thing Cursed, which was released in 2018, the album that came out before this one. A 6-year gap between albums, which is quite a long time. Longest in the band's history of not releasing music consistently. This album is amazing. I love it very, very much. Recorded at Studio 606 in Los Angeles. It was released via Rise Records January 6th, 2024. So we're getting on close to the 2-year mark of this album. And a lot has happened in the band since then. This is the last album in which Derek Grant will be featured on. He announced that he was leaving, stepping back away from Alkaline Trio, still going to be a part of the music scene, still going to be producing, still going to be doing a little this, a little that. But he wasn't going to be in Alkaline Trio anymore. He wasn't going to tour. It's a lot of work to do it. People think it's all fun and games. No, it's crazy stuff. You're away from the people you care about a lot of times. You had to step away for mental health reasons, which I give him a lot of credit for. Leaving such a legendary band, being part of this legacy for so long, Derek Grant is one of the best to do it. His own unique drumming style, featured across so many different albums of Alkaline Trio. That's why it's important. That's why it's a good one. The band later then, it was relatively quickly, not like the next day by any means, but it was somewhat quick, announced that Adam Willard, who's also like just a drumming machine, Rocket from the Crypt, Against Me, Angels and Airwaves, Alkaline Trio, Warriors. The dude has been a drummer for everybody. Talented, and I love Adam Willard as well, so I was pretty pumped to see that he was going to be joining the band. He would be featured in the music video for the song Blood, Hair, and Eyeballs, the title tracks for this record. Though he didn't drum on it, he is in the music video. Let's look at the album a little bit. 11 tracks. Opens up with Hot for Preacher, which is a fun track. And Matt Skiba, always kind of known for playing on different songs, legendary albums. Hot for Teacher, of course, is the Van Halen song that everybody loves. But Hot for Preacher opens up, and it's a packed track. It's good. It gives you everything you need. It's got a little bit of a darker feel to it. I like it a lot. You go then to Meet Me. You got Versions of You, which is the first song that you hear from Dan Andriano. And the vocals on all these are so important because Dan and Matt, they have their own unique voices in their own regard. I would say Dan's been the most consistent in how he has sounded across all albums. Matt Skiba definitely has different ranges, and we're now in a new sound for Matt Skiba, in my opinion. He was with Blink-182 prior to this album, so he had different recording experiences. He kind of changed sounds a little bit, which is okay, which is good. I'm not saying like he brought like the pop punk to this album by any means. Sure, there's some elements of that, but it's still an Alkaline Trio album. But Matt Skiba, if you listen to this album compared to something like From Here to Infirmary, Good Morning, you got a different Skiba. You got a different Skiba sound, a different Skiba style of singing. But great nonetheless. It's amazing. Predominantly Skiba songs on this one. Meet Me, or Versions of You, I should say, is that Dan Andriano one. Broken Down in a Time Machine. There's good stuff. It's a blend, but mostly Skiba songs, which is okay for me. For me, Bad Time, probably the best track on the album. I love it. I like Blood, Hair, and Eyeballs, and I really like their closing track, Teenage Heart, which is a little bit sad and a little bit intense if you think about it. So why is this important? Of course, when we think of the letter B, it could have been so many other albums. It could have been Buddha by Blink-182. It could have been, I could have spun it where it would have been like Bad Religion, and we'll get to Bad Religion. They're important as well. But this marks the end of an era. That final album with Derek Grant, as I said before, who had been their drummer for 2 decades, 20 years in the band. Majority of their legendary albums being produced, being recorded with Derek Grant. And it is important. He's good. It also kind of a renewal, if you will. A new label rise. They're kind of returning to this darker energy a little bit while maintaining some melody, some harmonies. And I know there's like some punk snobs out there. They're like, oh, it's got to be raw. It's got to be a little this. Dude, there's nothing wrong with a good old melody. Rancid has melodies. Bad Religion is like the king of melodies and harmonies. It's okay for punk rock to sound nice, to have that good blend. Dissonance, of course, is important as well, but they still got the melodic punk in there, the melodic stuff, which I really liked. The 6-year gap, it was definitely a build-up with some hype to it. Which, if you hype up a record and you hype up things, sometimes it falls short. Is this thing Cursed is an amazing album as well. Probably, one of my more favorite Alkaline Trio records too. So you're following up of a pretty impactful and a pretty great record before it. You got to make sure you're packing a punch bowl, still doing something different, yet at the same time remaining who you are. People are like, this has got to go. This has got to go well. And it kind of focuses on that apocalypse culture, uncertainty, which, shit, look at what we're doing now. So for Alkaline Trio, this was a big record. It's important and it's special for a lot of different reasons. And we'll get to kind of what they've released since then, releasing new music with Adam Willard as the drummer. But first, why is this important in the world of punk rock? Some people would probably disagree with me that this is an influential album. One, because, it's not even 2 years old. And two, you could say, God damn it, you could say From Here to Infirmary, Good Morning, you could say Maybe I'll Catch Fire are all more important and more influential. And I agree, they're all important, they're all influential. But I really think like in a decade, people are going to go back to this album and still love it and still listen to it and still resonate with it as they did. In the world of punk rock, Alkaline Trio has been around for a long time, kind of bringing that melodic punk scene, melodic punk sound to the forefront. A lot of people enjoy them. They're big in Chicago, but they're big everywhere they go. They've been in stadiums. They've gone on massive tours. People are not unaware of them by any means. So this is kind of, we're in this interesting era in the world of punk where bands are starting to fade away, become a nostalgic act. A lot of revivals are coming up where we are seeing bands that we haven't heard from in 20 years. Now they're like, oh, I'm going to play this album in its entirety for the 20th anniversary. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I get why you do it. It's fun. I mean, I just saw The Used play In Love and Death in its entirety. I think that album now is 25 years old. You want to know the last time I listened to that album? Probably 25 years ago. But I went and saw it. It was good. And I'm not saying, they've released music along the way, but we're definitely in an era of nostalgic, in an era of the revisitation. And this album is a break from that. It's new and it's still great. And they haven't lost their talent. They haven't lost their love for what they do. And I think that should be highlighted. They're keeping the genre going. Shows that legacy can still push a band forward and they don't have to rely on their old hits. They could play nothing but newer songs at a show, and I think the crowd would be into it. Of course, everyone wants to hear radio. You're going to hear it. You're going to hear some of those songs, but they don't need to rely on them because they got plenty of new stuff that's fucking great. And I think that's important to highlight. I think that's important to understand. Punk rock is still going on, and it's still an important genre. Nostalgia is good, but we need some new stuff as well. The old people got to stay hip every once in a while, You could spin this album for some youngsters, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, maybe Grandpa's on to something." It's still and it shows how punk rock can evolve as well. Alkaline Trio always known for kind of those dark themes. They have some of the best songwriting to ever do it, but also hit you with that energy, hit you with the vulnerability, and they still know how to do it, which is great. It's meaningful for newer punk listeners to see bands they grew up still delivering relevant work. It's great. This is their 10th album, and a lot of times when you look at a band and they're like releasing a 10th album, it's trash. It's awful. Which is nice. So good for Alkaline Trio for doing this. Of course, Alkaline Trio has had a lot of different influences. They've seen like the formation and the elevation of punk rock, as well as being a part of it. Jawbreaker, Misfits, The Clash have kind of shaped their aesthetic, and you could definitely see where that comes from. Misfits having some more like darker lyrics, which have always been relevant. The Clash has a certain playing style of a certain like guitar sound, a certain kind of like rhythm that I think you could link back to Alkaline Trio. When I think of My Shame Is True, She Lied to the FBI, it sounds like an ode to the KKK Took My Baby Away by the Ramones. So their influences are there. They shape it to their own style and their own liking, which I appreciate as well. It's awesome. They're growing up. They're maturing. Blood, hair, and eyeballs. Matt Skiba's getting balder and balder by the day. He doesn't really have much, so much hair. But like Teenage Heart, listen to that. It's a dark song. It's crazy, but it's good. It's impactful. So now, in the current state of things, in the world of Alkaline Trio, we have Adam Willard. on the drums, on the kits. They went on a pretty massive tour after the release of this album. I unfortunately have not seen them since they released this album. The last time I saw them was 4 years ago when they played with Bad Religion at the Rave in Milwaukee. I've seen them at the Rave many a times. And I think before that, the last time I saw them was Riot Fest pre-COVID, which would have been around the time that they had released Is This Thing Cursed. So I have not seen any of the new songs performed live. I hope to do that. They're releasing new music still. So post this record, what they've been up to since, they have recorded and released 3 tracks produced by Travis Barker. Surprise, surprise, Oblivion and Bleeding Out, which I love all of those songs. I think they're great. You can see a shift in the drumming. You can see a shift in how the beat is going and how the progression of the songs are going. But they're still really good. And again, the lyrics are there. The darkness is there. The melodics are there. And yes, in some cases, a little bit of the auto-tune is there. Travis Barker has really dabbled into the world of producing music that some people don't like. Some people aren't into. They say they go a little heavy on the pitch correction. It kind of takes away a little bit of the rawness that we saw in Blood, Hair, and Eyeballs, which, sure. I could probably agree with that. On Surprise, Surprise, you get a little bridge in which Dan has a singing part. And yes, he has some pitch correction, but which takes away from how impactful Dan's voice is. He has a unique tone, but he's still a really good singer. The dude sounds great. He really sounds great live. He doesn't need the pitch correction, but they went to the studio. They recorded it with Travis Barker, who's an amazing musician and an amazing drummer. And they listened to it. They listened to the mixes. The band, I would assume, agreed on it all. So what can you do? They're releasing each one on a 7-inch EP, which I bought all of them. They're good. If I had to rank these new tracks, I would say Bleeding Out is probably my favorite. I like Surprise, Surprise a lot. And then Oblivion, maybe number 3. They're all really good, though. But it's crazy how they're still evolving even 2 years, like a year and a half after releasing their last album that we're talking about, and how different it sounds. How the evolution is still going. And how even after decades and decades, you can still keep it good. Still keep it going. Still keep it important. So this is good. We want this kind of stuff, people. So stop talking shit about Alkaline Trio and their songs produced by Travis Barker. Enough of it. Embrace it. Love it. And enjoy it. Someone recently told me that Blood, Hair, and Eyeballs was one of their least favorite Alkaline Trio records. And I told them, listen to it again. Give it another spin, because it did take me a couple of listens to really get into it. I like Hot for Preacher quite a bit. And like I said, you always have to have that powerful A track. You have to have that to hook somebody in. It's like when you're talking about a thesis statement. You got to have a hook to get the reader going, right? You need to have a good opening track. It doesn't have to be like loud. It doesn't have to be crazy, but it has to be interesting enough. It has to be impactful enough for somebody to want to continue to listen to it. I like to consume albums in their entirety. The songs are placed in there for a reason, I would like to think. So that's why I listen to it as a whole before I make a judgment. Of course, there's going to be standout songs, but it's good. But it did take me probably about 3 listen throughs to really appreciate it and to really like what I was hearing. At first I was just like, this isn't that great, which is what, my friend told me as well recently. So I said, give it another listen. It took me 3 listen throughs to actually like fall in love with it. I streamed it on Spotify. I'm not afraid to admit it. I did stream it, but I ended up buying it on vinyl, which it's a beautiful bow tie, black and white one. I like it a lot. Not a rare variant, unfortunately, but still good. Still awesome. The artwork on the record is simple. Alkaline Trio with the X on it, indicating number 10. I like it. It's simple artwork, but it's an impactful record. You know, and you got to take it for its whole. Look at the vinyl. You look at the picture of it. You take out the disc. You look at the sleeve. Consume it all. It's all a whole package. It's not just the sound. It's not just the songs. It's everything. And I think you should give it a listen through. If you listen to it once and you don't like it, listen to it again. And if you don't like it, listen to it again. And if you still don't like it, well, maybe it's not for you. And while you just have like inferior musical taste. But I think if you listen to it enough, you'll be brainwashed. No. It just takes some time. It's good. I love it. And it has that nostalgic sound to it a little bit while still being new. It's a beautiful thing. B is for blood, hair, and eyeballs. Hopefully this episode's good enough. Still working on the format. Still got to get in a groove. It's been a hot second since I've done one of these. You know, I did the first one. A was for And Out Come the Wolves. You can listen to that as well. Give that a try. Just a little bonus content for this format. Dudes with brews on a porch. Not drinking any beer today. Life in general is beyond chaotic, is beyond stressful. Things are not going well. For various different reasons. Like everyone's okay, everybody's safe, we're fine. But it's just like thing after thing after thing in the world of cars breaking, in the worlds of basements flooding, in the worlds of bills racking up because I somehow have to pay a bunch of money so my basement doesn't fucking flood again. Good thing my homeowner's insurance won't cover it because it's not an act of God. So it's been a couple of weeks. We're going to get back into the format. I've been talking to Rob. Rob's going to get back on the show. It's just been stressful, dudes. But keep it real. Keep spinning the tunes. We'll figure it out. We'll be all right. Don't worry. Your boys, I'm not going through like a mental crisis. Well, I kind of am. But it's going to be fine. We're going to figure it out. I always do. There's one thing I know about myself. I'm not confident in a lot of things, but I know I'm confident in figuring a lot of things out. I'll do what I got to do, and we'll be okay. So keep on keeping on. Enjoy yourselves. Spin some punk rock. We'll see you soon.